This is Dark Shades, and this is Living Without a Man, Part 3. And I'm going to start this part with a poem, and it's called Independent by Choice or Circumstance. With women's liberation, we really didn't stand a chance. It took away our black man's role, and now you find him in the dance. Many black men saw it as an opportunity to take their bag and run. No more opening doors for us or holidays in the sun. They claim that we have burned our bra and it's up to us what we do. You don't need us anymore, so why should we care for you? I am sorry, girls, we've had enough. We don't need your disrespect. We'll take you out sometimes, but only to see what we can get. You'll never see our money, or only enough to get us by. But if you expect any more from us, you can shout, jump and cry. It just won't make a difference. You've brought this on yourself. You say you can do bad all on your own, so I'm looking after myself. And, you know, some black men, because that's all I know about really, that's how they think. They think that we've brought it on ourselves and therefore we've got to get on with it. They don't see why they should do anything for us. They don't see why they should take us out for dinner. They don't see why they should open doors or pull out chairs. You know, and it's really, really sad, you know, because we're all human, we all love and we all want romance, and that is a part of romance. And I don't think the female liberation should change that. You know, a lot of the female liberation was for females who, and it had to do with feminism. And you'll find that black women, you know, there are feminists among black women, but not all of us are feminists. We're just women who have become independent because of the circumstances. Men have gone, men have left, they've left them with the children, they've had to fend for themselves, they have to look after the children, they have to work, they have to pay their own bills. I mean, if they haven't got anybody in their life, what else can they do? They have to fend for themselves. And so by virtue of that, they have to be independent. But that doesn't mean that they like it. That doesn't mean that they even want it. And so for men to throw that in their faces every time you go to a dance or any time you go out or any time, you know, you're faced with that kind of confrontation, you know, especially in debates and arguments, it's not nice and it's not necessary and it's not true. You know, for men, you know, I appreciate that because of all of this, you know, they have really got the bad end of the stick. And some of them really cannot adequately provide for women because of their circumstances. And because of that, we make do. Some of them have lost their jobs for one reason or another. You know, we had that point where there was that great surge of people losing their jobs. As black men, it's much harder for them to get jobs than it is for black women. There's also racism in the workplace, and that's more against black men than it is for women. And of course, you know, some of them have criminal backgrounds, whether it's just for weed or some minor misdemeanor, whether it's traffic offences, but that goes against them also. And then all of these things cause women, because they can't, because the man can't provide what they want them to provide, they end up losing respect for those men. And a lot of times it's not their fault. A lot of times they've been in a relationship. Maybe the woman has just decided she's fed up of him. And she's decided to kick him to the curb. And he's left, he can't look after his children for whatever reason. They do say if you've got a good man, you're not going to let him go. But that's still relative, isn't it? It still depends on, you know, what that female is expecting from her man and what that man is doing. I mean, some men, they may be quite good at doing household chores and giving money, and then, you know, they're out every night with the lads or they're out every night with another woman. You know, sometimes they have some other addiction, you know, whether it's alcohol or alcohol, smoking, gambling, you know, or some other addiction. You know, sometimes it's those kind of things that even though they're good in one way, that part of them affects a relationship. Because, you know, if somebody's using all their money on alcohol and strolling around in the house, falling all over the place, breaking things, getting angry, you know, and confrontational, that's not good. You know, if they smoke and they're stinking up the place, and, you know, all their money is going on weed or marijuana or whatever drugs they take, that's not good. If they're gambling and all their money is going on gambling to the point where, you know, they're selling what you have in your home, that impacts you. So sometimes, even though they're really good in the household with cleaning and stuff like that, and maybe cooking and taking you out, things like those addictions are what can break a relationship and turn someone off. So some men, they are in their situation through no fault of their own, maybe because of a bad woman, a selfish woman, a vindictive woman. And some of them are in this situation because they don't have any ambition. They don't have the wherewithal or the common sense to do what they can for themselves. And there could be a host of other reasons why men end up not being in a position to come to the table with something. So men have been hurt. A lot of men have been hurt by rejection. I remember there was a man who was telling me his story that he bought his home and he married a lady and she was disabled, and he was looking after her really well, felt sorry for her and everything. Brought this woman into his house and they had a child. Next thing you know, the woman's kicking him out, and because she's got the child, she's kicking him out of his own home. And I mean, can you imagine? And the thing is that he can't get back his share of the home until she sells it, and she ain't selling. That's so unfair. So you can understand why sometimes men, they do get back on their feet and they don't want to share because they're so afraid. They're more afraid of taking a risk than women are. And then, of course, you have other men who are hurt in other ways, where women have betrayed them in some other way or rejected them for some other reason. So, you know, it's hard for them to start over because they can have the same kind of reservations about women as women have about men. And if that is the case, should we be their rescuers? Should we be enabling them? Should we be trying to put things right? You know, you can find a man who's had a bad deal and, you know, you can listen to his story and feel sorry for him and say, okay, he's a solid person. He has potential. I believe I can work with him. Is that a good thing to do? You know, because, you know, they do say behind every good man there is a good woman. So a lot of times it's the woman who needs to build up the man when he doesn't have much. But a lot of women, they can't be bothered. They haven't got the wherewithal, the tolerance, and they're so used to doing things by themselves and living by themselves and not having to account to anybody, and they can get up when they want. They don't have to cook if they don't want to. They can just eat like a sandwich or whatever it is they eat, you know, and you just find that they've got used to not having a man in their life. And some of them genuinely have grown so selfish that they don't want another man. They don't want a man in their life. You know, they've decided that, you know, man is too much problems, too much grief. They don't want to have to talk to him or look after him. They don't want to do nothing. They just want to stay at home, watch Coronation Street, go to Tesco, buy them little thing just to feed them, and if they've got their kids there, just to feed their kids, and they're happy. And some of them are genuinely happy in that circumstance. But I think they're happy only because they've developed a mind of selfishness and they really don't want to share anymore. They don't want to share themselves. They don't want to share their body. They don't want to share their home. And that's what that's about, more than not really wanting to be with someone. So Women tend to be a motivation for men, especially if it works well. And I sometimes wonder, should a man be self-motivated? But sometimes it does take someone else to build you up. And that's why man and women were made to be together, because they are meant to enhance each other. They are spiritually entwined. And I believe that one, if you've made a good choice, one can definitely benefit the other. So should man create a stable foundation for themselves? I think they should. If a man has had a ordeal, regardless of the circumstances, whether it's his fault or her fault, I think he should work at, putting money aside, doing what he can to be independent, so that when he does meet a woman who's got potential, the two of them can work together and have a solid relationship, so that neither of them, because you find some men, they also prefer being on their own. A lot of men, they quite happy, they've got their homes. They're the ones that don't want to have a woman to live in with, because they're so afraid that the woman's going to take what they've got. So it works both ways. I don't think women tend to think so much that a man is going to take what they've got, but you sometimes the other way around. That is the viewpoint. So men just, there are men out there who have got it together and who don't want to pull together, but it's there has to be some trust. They have to get rid of the hurt and the bitterness, because I believe, even regardless of what a woman is saying or how she's behaving, how independent she is, we all need love, we all need affection. And there's nothing nicer than a spoon. Don't you want to be spooned sometimes? That feels so nice. And even if you forget about the sexual intimacy, you can be intimate in so many other ways. Just hugging, just talking, just holding, all of those things. It's healthy and it really adds to your life. It keeps you young, it keeps you vivacious, it keeps you happy. And it's a well-known fact that when you have a good relationship, all your serotonins or whatever it is, all those good vibes that are going on in your body, actually improve in number. So my advice to you young ladies, and if there are any young men who are listening, or old men or old women, I'm hoping that you're independent because of circumstances, and that if the perfect man came along, you'd jump on it. And for men, if you're living on your own and living single, I hope the same applies to you. I hope you'll reach a point where you'll say, okay, I'm going to take a risk. I think the key, especially if you have property, is to meet somebody who has property as well. So you've both got something to bring to the table. You don't have to be afraid of losing, and you can get on with your life and build each other up. That's what life is all about. So that's all for now, peeps. I hope you liked this series of part 1, 2 and 3 of Living Independently. Is it choice or circumstance? This is Dark Shades, over and out.